Let me start by saying that I work for an organization that is a 90-year-old organization. And if you go back to 1927 and you revise what these guys wrote at that time, there were many things that relate to today's business. Number one, they wanted Colombia to work and the Federation to work on the environmental side. 10 years later, in 1937, they created the research center to start studying how we do it, how we treat the water, how can we grow coffee on a more friendly way. When we also, that organization started to build bridges, roads, schools, bringing education to coffee grower community. And on top of that, in 1940, created a fund to try to maintain the coffee prices internally at a level that is was profitable for the coffee growers. Having said that, I must recognize that for the first time I heard about the word sustainability was probably 1997, SCAA, 1997. And they lay out for us the 3 dimensions, and they say, okay, there's the environmental dimension, there's the social dimension, and then there's the economic dimension of sustainability. And I was so amazed. I have to tell you, those days we only talk about a couple of things in coffee that had to do with sustainability. Maybe Conservation International was in Colombia at that time, giving the first steps. And we grew a little bit of fertilizer-free and pesticide-free coffee. But that was it. We never spoke properly on sustainability. From then onwards, what has happened? Where has the world moved? I have a full presentation, but I'm not sure if I want to go through the presentation. I just would like to share with you my thoughts and the thoughts of the coffee producers. And the thoughts of the coffee producers. We are talking on a platform. We are talking of gathering us together. And I think we've done a good job as a community to make ourselves aware of what would be the environmental effects of growing not only palm, but all those things, but coffee as well. And we've been working, I think the whole community has been working on that. We've been focusing ourselves in trying to grow coffee on a more environmental friendly. Problems with water, problems with nature, problem with deforestation. Yes, important, very important. And we have to focus on that. Then comes the social side of growing any crop. We have a large coffee community. We are 25 million families around the world, 550,000 in my country alone. And we have a lot of social issues. And social issues that we need to solve. Things like gender, child labor, unions, associations, education, health. Those are things that impact the life of the coffee growing community. And we need to address them. How can we do that? Important. the social aspect of coffee. But it seems to us that one thing is missing on the equation. We were told that there were 3 dimensions, and we've been very keen on 2, but there's one that is lacking. One is the economic aspect of coffee. Who's caring about that? Sometimes I wonder, why are we so keen on nature but not on men and people? Sometimes I wonder, how come we put so much interest on child labor but not surviving of the coffee growing community? Sometimes I wonder if we as collectively, every time we talk on a platform, and I heard the word collectively, the question is, are we collectively thinking on the real sustainable issues of the coffee growing community? Are we collective thinking as a chain? Or are we being very selfish ourselves, each one thinking on our own box, trying to protect ourselves? So I'm going to do this to make myself sustainable. But are we making everything sustainable? And I might show you some graphs that will tell you, let me see if I can handle this. Look at this graph. This is ICO numbers. The green line is the price for coffee. But you'll be surprised. The brown one, or whatever color is this, I don't know if it's orange, is the price for roast and ground coffee. So it's not only the price of the raw material that has been coming down and down and down and down, but it's also the price of the roast and ground coffee. So are we creating value or are we destroying value? Let me show you a couple more. Here is what is the total value of the coffee world now. It's around 200 billion, a little bit more. Out of that, 100 billion would be the trade of coffee. 100 billion would be the more or less what is the out of the service and out of home consumption. And out of that, the producers will get 20,000. 200, and you get 20,000. So it was only, we have had different stages in coffee. This is what we need to start thinking on. We had the regulated market. When we talk about the regulated market, it was a market that was under the ICO quota system. And look at the numbers. And then we decided that, no, maybe it's the market that the one that assignates better the resources. And what you can realize simply is that that hasn't happened as far as the growers is concerned. If we were to put the price of the ICO times in today's numbers, we would be talking of a pound of coffee around $3.50 per pound. And we are $1.30. So what are we doing? Where are we heading? Are we thinking collectively? And this is the only way to guarantee that this market that we all love, coffee, is sustainable for the future. So that's what we gathered in Medellin the other day, July 10 and 11, and we discussed, sit ourselves, coffee growers, and we discussed these 4 topics. production and productivity. We went on price volatility, climate change, and generation takeovers. Those are the issues that we care. Those are the issues that the coffee growing community is speaking. How can we solve this? But what we did in Medellin was not an exercise of talking ourselves. What we did in Medellin, more than almost 1,400 attendees, 44 countries, 4 languages, panelists. And this is what came out of a beautiful exercise. We divided this almost 1,400 people and divided in these 4 topics, and they discussed, they wrote some words, and we put all those words together and tried to group them, and here's what came out. This is what matters. This is what worries the coffee growing community. Listen, we need to talk. And that's why platforms are so important. And these type of gatherings are so important. We need to talk each other. We need to discuss. And here you are. If you take production and productivity and put all the words that came out, the main words, and try to group them, and try to give an idea, here's what you get. Technical assistance. But most important, how about creating a global producers organization? Talk on financing, conservation, consumption, promotion, varieties, technology, creating a global research fund, strength scientific research. And I could go price volatility. I just saw, I just have 5 minutes more, so I will spend my 5 minutes just showing you this. Creating a global producer organization with ability of negotiation, to establish an international agreement to set a base price covering the cost of production. So here you are, what the growers are thinking. Please, it's the international community that has to gather together and start thinking collectively. Climate change, very important for the coffee growing. So we, in Colombia, designed a plan that we call 100-100, and we'll strive for a line of sustainability by the year 2027. And this is what we've done. But I just want to probably end up with this. We strongly believe that we need, urgently, a new way of thinking, a new way to relate ourselves as a community, as a coffee community. Started from the grower, ending up with the guy that serves the last cup in Geneva. We need all to sit collectively and to think, how can we make the world coffee sustainable? How can we collectively solve the problems and the challenges that we are facing for the future? That's what sustainable is for. It's not creating seals. It's not giving 20 cents more, 10 cents more. It's sitting collectively as a group and creating maybe a utopic thought, which is a new way to relate north-south, developed and developed countries, by sitting chains that could start with coffee, but then we could go to cocoa, to palm oil, to whatever it is, and think collectively, how can we work on a sustainable world? Because believe me, there's something, and with this I would like to end, something I would like to tell you clearly and loudly. Environmental dimension is very important. Social dimension, we all care about that. But if the grower cannot sustain himself, And I'm very worried because during these days I've been hearing from everybody, no, the market will go under $1, under $1. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Why should us producers care about the environment if we cannot survive ourselves? Why do we have to stop child labor if we cannot feed our families? So let's think about that. And let's think collectively. And that's what the platform is for. Thank you.